Greetings, everyone. My name is Dr. Janelle Anderson, and I am welcoming you to EDLA 626. This course has gone by a couple of different names over the last few years, and I am proud to have been asked to do some redesign work and bring our work of looking at cultural competence, personal reflection, and the work that must be done for equity, inclusion, social justice, anti-violence, and diversity in our schools to you as part of your work here at Gonzaga University in the Department of Educational Leadership and Administration. So this course, as you can probably tell from its name, is going to address a number of issues that are relevant to extremely important and prominent issues in education today. However, it's a short course, so there is no way that we're going to be able to cover everything. So before we begin, let me just tell you that my ambition for this course is to provide all students with a language that they can use to discuss and critique different materials in their classrooms and discourses that they are engaged in with regards to education, diversity, and justice. But also, I want to instill in students who take this course a sense of curiosity, a desire to know more and to think critically, not only about what we know, but what we don't know. One of the most important things that I'm going to continually reinforce to you is that the critical educator, which is the kind of educator I hope and educational leader that I hope to inspire in this course, is a critical educator who looks to the margins, who asks, what groups have we not heard from? Which groups' stories have been silenced? Whose experiences are we not paying attention to? And in that lack of attention, how is the work of schools being limited and the outcomes and potential of our children and our communities being hamstrung by racism, anti-intellectualism, and other kinds of factors that are tragically currently still plaguing our schools and our systems. Okay, but that's a lot, right? We're going to get into it. We're going to unpack it. We're going to look from a systems approach. One of the really important messages I also hope to share with you as we go through this semester is a willingness and an interest in addressing not the students, not just the teachers, not just the administrators, but the systems that are in place that oftentimes are deeply embedded in these problems of racism and injustice in our schools. So we're going to take a systemic approach to addressing how the margins, those groups that have potentially been ignored or whose experiences have not been part of our regular discourse in schools, how looking to those and looking to the way the systems impact those groups can really help us build a better future. The other thing that we are going to do, though, is we are going to look at ourselves. I used to always say when I was a classroom teacher, especially later on when I was a mentor for younger teachers, was that one of the greatest lessons that I learned early in my career was that you are part of every problem that occurs in your classroom, your school, and your community. Just like if you think about it on the level of insurance, right? If your car is parked on the street and you aren't in that car, and a driver drives past and hits your car, it's really easy to say, well, I'm not responsible. There's no part that I play. But insurance companies levy a portion, whether it be a small portion or a large portion, of the responsibility to you as the owner of the vehicle parked on the street, regardless of whether or not you actually swerved into the street and hit another car. We are, the sort of basic premise here is that we are all responsible. And for many of us, especially those like me, who are privileged to be part of dominant and powerful groups, such as white, Caucasian, educated, middle-class Americans, I have been endowed with a number of privileges. And in that privilege, I have to sit, reflect, and consider what part of this problem am I? Just like a driver and an insurance company sort of grapple with responsibilities in something as sort of practical as a car accident, so too do we as educators need to ask ourselves, when we have rates of suspension for young African American men in the United States and in US public school systems that are triple and quadruple the rates of those suspensions for young white men, even if you are not a teacher who is assigning one of those suspensions, even if you are an educational leader who is not in a school where those percentages are that high, what I am going to suggest throughout this course is that it is part of the work of an educator, especially critical educator, to ask themselves, despite the fact that I might not be there, what part of the problem am I? And then also turning that work closer to home. In your classroom, the curriculum you teach, the way that your school represents holidays, represents different cultures, different communities, or in some cases does not represent them. What part of the problem are you? So this is big work. And I'm going to get in a couple minutes, just a really quick overview of some of the things that we're going to be doing in the course. But I do want to start by letting you guys know that this is heavy, big, important work, and we're going to do it together. As such, I'm going to be asking you to do a lot of reflecting, a lot of thinking about yourself, your work, and how what we're talking about and reading about in this course reflects on your own experience and helps you better understand what part of the problem am I. And then it invites you to seek solutions, to take action in your schools, in your communities, in your classroom, in your conversations with colleagues every single day. That is the hard work that it will take to create school systems that serve all of our students equally, with justice and without fear. So, we're going to do a number of activities in this course, and if you look at the class calendar, what you'll see is I've tried to set up in this kind of compact space an opportunity for you to reflect every single week. Every single week during this course, you will be asked to write a reflection. That reflection will be yours. It is not something that you necessarily are going to share. Your sharing of any of your reflections will be entirely up to you. The only person who will see those reflections is me. In those reflections, I ask you not to spend pages and pages, but rather to spend a tight several paragraphs summarizing what you've learned and referencing specifically which readings, which materials, which conversations, or perhaps even which things in your professional life you reflected on that week with regards to social justice, culture, inclusion in schools. So every week, get in the routine of doing that. In order to do that, I want to really encourage you to have some kind of professional reflective journal. If you don't already do that, this is an incredibly strong practice that all practitioners should take up at some level. For me, it involved, especially early in my career, a notebook that I used every single night to write down the feelings. It's an overwhelming job to be an educator, and so sometimes having that ritual of reflection can actually be really good for you personally and professionally, just on a sort of basic level, but also in terms of processing and thinking through these issues of justice and injustice in education. Taking time every single week to really process, what are you thinking? What do you know now? What questions do you still have? How are these things perhaps causing you to struggle? Because sometimes these topics cause us to struggle. What disagreements might you have with some of the authors that you'll be reading in this course? All of that is for you to process and think about as we do this work in this course this semester. The other thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be engaging in synchronous class sessions with me. I thought about this really long and hard. It took me months to really process whether or not we could do this class in a distance space. I think it's going to be really difficult unless we have some face-to-face time together on a regular basis to process, to discuss, and to check in with each other. So I'm asking that everyone attend 3 of the synchronous sessions that are scheduled. My hope is that everyone would be able to come to the first and the last session as sort of a bookend on the course. While I know that there are conflicting schedules and people are doing all kinds of things in their professional lives that make it really difficult to attend these synchronous sessions, thank you to those who've already reached out and let me know which ones you can't attend. We'll be in dialogue about this as we go through the semester, but again, I'm hoping that people will make it to 3 out of those that are scheduled, but I will record all of those scheduled. So even if you aren't able to attend, the expectation will be that you will watch the video and process what was discussed. Having said that, however, because of the nature of what we're going to be discussing in this class, we're also going to talk at length about professionalism, about professional dialogue and discourse around race, injustice, and other sensitive and potentially emotional topics for people. You are all aware that in the media, as of this week, the state of Alabama in the United States, the governor signed a law saying that it was illegal for any government institutions, including universities in that state, public universities, to initiate any diversity, equity, or injustice inclusion programming. So perhaps nervous are people, lawmakers in some parts of the world about discussing these things, and specifically white lawmakers, white dominant sort of groups often push back against these things. One of the arguments that's been made against the use of things like critical race theory and other kinds of things is that they make people feel bad, and that we should not be making people feel bad. I want to just say straight out that there may be times during this course that the content that we cover makes you feel. I don't know if it'll make you feel bad, but I think it will make you feel. And as such, it's really important that we are appropriate, that we are respectful, and that we are extremely cautious about what we say, how we say it, and then also that we are professional in the boundaries around the language we use and what we say outside of this class space. So in order for people to have freedom, to have a sense of professional sort of security, we're going to talk about setting boundaries around information that will be shared outside of this class or beyond discussions when necessary. So look for that to come in the first synchronous class where we'll be talking about that. Okay, couple other things. This video is getting long. I apologize. I'm trying to keep the videos a little shorter because I know they can be hard to sit through, but I really want to talk to you guys about a couple of things that we're going to be doing in here. Number one is you're going to write a positioning paper. You will see that listed. We will go over it more thoroughly in our first synchronous class. But if you want to take a look at that assignment, I would really encourage you to do that and start thinking reflectively about the questions and the sort of framing of that paper. You as a person need to be really in touch with who you are, where you're from, and what you believe. And all of our experiences are unique to us as individuals. And we want to be really cautious about the assumptions we make about people, their experiences, and their beliefs as we move into these important subjects. But I also want you to think really carefully and cautiously about yourself and about where you begin this journey with us in 626. So that's really the purpose of the positionality paper. The other thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing an equity audit. Equity audits are something that I was introduced to by my friend Katie Swalwell. Katie Swalwell is one of the authors that we will be using quite a bit during this course. She's one of the authors of this book, which we will be reading during our class, Fix Injustice, Not Kids. And Dr. Swalwell was someone who introduced me to equity audits over a decade ago. And when they first emerged, they really were a way for people to begin to systematically look at their educational spaces, their workspaces, and dig into what are the kinds of data points and sort of analytics that help us understand whether our systems and institutions are equitable and which are not. You're going to be doing not a full equity audit. We don't have the conditions within this course to do that, but you're going to be doing a kind of equity audit, an exploratory equity audit. So look through those assignments, and what you'll notice is that you have actually kind of a 3-step equity audit process. You're going to first collect basic information on your selected site. You're going to present the data that you've collected from your site with regards to equity. You're going to be reading a text that will help walk you through some of this. And then finally, all elements of your final equity audit, including kind of your summation paper, will be due at the end of this course. And then finally, you will have a paper on equity and inquiry for this class that will ask you, in part, to dig into and process how your inquiry project, the one that you've been working on through this entire last couple of semesters, how you are infusing into that work the goals of greater equity, diversity, social justice, inclusion into your school, your classroom, and your community. So basically what I'll be asking you to do by the end of this course is to marry the thinking and the frameworks that we're going to discuss in this class and the inquiry project that you are working on as part of your master's degree. I'll just wrap this up by telling you that I think that all of you are aware that we owe our students our very best. And the only way that we can actually be our best is by facing these difficult and vital issues in our schools so that students and families from all backgrounds, from all experiences, feel welcome and empowered by our schools. That is our work. And we can't do that unless we begin to really study and understand who we've been, who we are now, and what it will take for us to become that shining city on a hill, right? That we have all sort of been raised to sort of imagine is possible one day. So, Dr. King and his dream is almost cliche at this point, right? We use it and abuse that phrase for so many reasons. But when you talk to kids, if you've ever had the opportunity to do that, to share Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech with young children, they get it. And to them, it's not cliche. So they know what a dream is. They have lots of dreams. And so we are doing this work to ensure that those dreams are possible for all of our kids. All right. I look forward to this journey with you. Thank you for taking it with me, and I will see you very soon. Have a great day.